The significance of knowing one's Black history cannot be overstated, particularly as we approach moments of reflection like Black History Month. This Black History Month, take the time to honor your mother and all those who came before you by exploring your family's history, celebrating their achievements, and acknowledging the struggles they faced. In doing so, you honor their legacy and empower yourself and future generations to continue the journey of understanding and resilience.
Serena Sue Washington was born in Alexandria, Louisiana, on June 21, 1942. Her father, Naaman Washington, was 24, and her mother, Marion Eleanora Hall, was 17. Serena spent some of her early years raised by her grandparents, Albert Leroy Washington and Blanche Mariah Godwin Washington, in Sabine County, Sandy Creek, Texas. Her father, Naaman, went to Los Angeles, California to look for work, and when he established himself, he returned to Sandy Creek to get his wife and 2 daughters. About a year later, Leroy Washington, also known as Papa, went to Los Angeles, California, gathered his 2 granddaughters, and took them back to Sandy Creek with him. Here is Serena describing the time she spent on Sandy Creek.
In March 1943, when I was just 9 months old, my father, Naaman Washington, made the journey from Alexandria, Rapides Parish, Louisiana, where he took my mother, Marion Eleanor O'Neill Washington, and me from her grandmother Julia Townsley's home to live with his parents in Yellow Pine, Texas. By late September of that same year, my father departed on the Sunset Limited train for California, a trip that lasted 3 days, just in time for the birth of my sister Leslie. My mother, Leslie, and I remained with Papa and Mama until my father sent for us in late 1944 or early 1945. Our time in California was brief, lasting only a few months. I don't know the reason behind Papa's sudden arrival to retrieve us, but I was told he showed up one day and brought us back to Texas to live with him and Mama on their farm. The house itself was a large wooden structure, elevated off the ground and adorned with a mix of wood shingles and partially tin roofing. It had no electricity, gas, running water, or indoor bathroom. Kerosene lamps illuminated our evenings, and wood fueled both the stove and the roaring fireplaces for warmth and cooking. Water was drawn from a well nestled in the front yard, to the left of the house. A spacious covered porch wrapped around the front of the house, welcoming us with its charm. A long open hallway ran through the center, with 2 generous rooms flanking either side. At the end of the hallway sat a roomy kitchen featuring a long table, a wood-burning stove, and a pantry storage room on the left. If you stood facing the house, the large room to the right functioned as both Papa and Mama's bedroom and our family's living space. That room held a cozy fireplace, 2 beds, one for Papa and one for Mama, 2 rocking chairs stationed alongside the fireplace, and a small radio that stood about 2 feet tall. Leslie and I found our place to sleep in this room, nestled close to our grandparents. A smaller room, accessible solely through Papa and Mama's sanctuary, belonged to my Aunt Joyce. Across the hallway to the left was another spacious room, also with a fireplace and 2 beds, which was home to my uncles Arby and Burnett during our stay. Mama nurtured a vibrant garden on the left side of the house, filled with greens, beans, tomatoes, okra, and other vegetables. Behind the house, she cultivated a lush orchard with peach, pear, and plum trees, and an impressive pecan tree loomed nearby. To the right of the house, about 50 feet away, was the chicken coop. Further beyond stood a smokehouse, and behind both structures, the outhouse was located at a considerate distance for privacy. Given the potential dangers posed by snakes and other nocturnal creatures, a large pail was kept in the house overnight, just in case we dared not venture out to the outhouse. A barn stood about 100 feet in front of the house, with openings at both the front and back. Here, Papa cared for a variety of animals, cows, pigs, and 2 mules. He had 2 loyal dogs as well, one named Tip and the other Yang Yang, a name I was proudly told I had bestowed upon him. Behind the barn was the sugar mill, a quaint little building open in front yet enclosed at the back. In front of the sugar mill, an old-fashioned sugar cane press with 2 large metal wheels awaited. A metal pole connected the wheels at the top, and linked to a long wooden pole attached to a mule. As the mule trotted in circles, the wheels squeezed the sweet juice from the sugar cane stalks, directing it into a wooden trough that flowed into barrels inside the mill. Leslie and I took turns sitting on the sugar cane pile, excitedly pushing the sugar cane stalks through the wheels. Papa expertly boiled the juice until it transformed into syrup, perhaps adding some secret ingredients, though I was blissfully unaware. He was known throughout the area for his exceptional sugar cane syrup. A dirt road wound its way past the barn, the house, and an expansive field behind it where Papa cultivated corn and watermelons. To the right of the road, a deep gully stretched out, leading to 2 large fields beyond, where cotton and sugarcane flourished. Sandy Creek gently curved around both fields, and Leslie and I often carried water across the gully on a makeshift bridge, delivering it to Papa, R.B., Joyce, and Burnett as they toiled in the fields. Harvesting cotton was an adventure of its own. We filled long cotton sacks with a sash that slid over our heads and across our opposite shoulders, ensuring the sack stayed open as we pulled the soft cotton from the bush. Papa would skillfully slice sugarcane at its base with a machete-like tool, while we eagerly gathered the stalks into his mule-drawn wagon. We learned to beware of freshly cut sugarcane, which could leave us with nasty cuts if we weren't careful. Mama and Joyce crafted their own lye soap in a large pot over an open fire in the front yard. Laundry was a family affair. They scrubbed clothes on the front porch using a washboard in a large tub, and then hung them to dry on a clothesline that swayed gently in the breeze. Mama's talent extended to churning her own butter in an old wooden churn. Leslie and I took on the responsibility of pumping the plunger up and down until the rich cream morphed into delicious butter, an eternity of effort that always rewarded us with a tasty treat. I remember the joy of picking and devouring blackberries, chinquapins, and pecans, and the satisfying crunch of peeling and chewing sugarcane. Our days were filled with adventures beneath the house, in the chicken coop, and around the barn. As the sun dipped below the horizon, we would gather around the radio to listen to thrilling broadcasts of The Shadow Knows and The Lone Ranger, our imaginations ignited by the stories that danced through the air. Through the warmth of family, the rhythm of farm life, and the simplicity of those days, my heart remains forever tied to the memories of Papa and Mama's farm, a place where love and laughter flourished like the bountiful crops that surrounded us.
Grandma Blanche died on October 17, 1952, at age 54 of heart disease. Leroy Washington passed on July 25, 1986, in Valley Village, California, at 91. Serena's great-grandmother on her mother's side of the family was Julia Lott, born in Louisiana on November 28, 1878. She was married to Joseph Lott until he passed away in 1935. Then she married Doc Townsley. Grandma Julie would tell Serena stories about the old days when they worked in the garden. Serena remembered Grandma Julie telling her that her grandmother Adaway Welch, who was born into slavery around 1830 and died on October 30, 1932, in Rapides, Louisiana, at the age of 97, had 3 sets of children. No one is sure how many children made up a set, but her master sold the first set, and when she had a second set, master sold the second set. War came, and master couldn't sell any more of her children. She would never see her children who were sold again. The last set of children included Matilda Welch, who married George Anderson and spawned the family tree that led to the birth of Serena. Serena attended North Hollywood High School in North Hollywood, California. While in high school, she was told by a teacher that her name was not correctly spelled. Her name was spelled Surena, and she had no middle name. When she turned 18, she changed the spelling of her name to Serena and gave herself a middle name of Sue. Serena graduated high school in 1960, went to beauty college and became a beautician in 1962. She was engaged to Gregory Russell Storey, and the wedding was planned for July 28, 1962, at Greater Community Baptist Church in Pacoima, California. While planning the wedding, her father, Naaman Washington, informed her that he wouldn't pay for the wedding. He disapproved of the marriage. Serena knew her father did not like her fiancé Gregory, and the feeling was mutual, so she wasn't surprised when her father refused to pay for the wedding. Since she would be paying for the wedding, she decided to pick the pastor she wanted to officiate the wedding. She chose a young, very handsome, educated associate pastor of Greater Community Baptist Church named Henry Wyatt Hearns, born in Byhalia, Mississippi on April 23, 1933, and a graduate of Tennessee A&I State University in 1959. She was highly impressed with Pastor Hearns. Today he is known as Bishop Hearns. There was one problem. Greater Community already had a pastor who founded the church named Reverend T.G. Pledger, who had baptized Serena and all her siblings. So Serena decided to tell her parents about the change in pastor for her wedding. After a brief argument, her mother said he would be here tomorrow after church for dinner, and you could tell him yourself. So after dinner on Sunday, Serena stood tall and told Reverend Pledger that Pastor Hearns will be officiating her wedding ceremony. In her mind, what could he say? It was her wedding, and she has the right to choose the pastor who will officiate it. Well, Reverend Pledger slowly stood up from the table, wiped his mouth, cleaned his glasses, walked over to Serena, looked her in the eyes. Then he said, "Over my dead body." Serena stormed out of the house, and that was the end of that foolishness. Serena just had to buy the food for the reception. The church ladies, including Serena's mother, Marion Washington, who was chairman of the Deaconess and treasurer of the Missionary Society, would prepare all the food and help with decorations. The after-wedding party would be held at Uncle Bernard Washington's house in Pacoima. Because the wedding went so well, her father, Naaman Washington, was embarrassed because the family knew he didn't pay for his firstborn daughter's wedding. The brothers were giving him a hard time, so Naaman, feeling bad, told Bernard that he was going to pay for all the liquor for the party. It ended up being a wonderful wedding and after-party. Serena's journey from a child growing up on Sandy Creek to her wedding day was marked by resilience, love, and a deep connection to her family history. This narrative chronicles her transformation from a young girl raised by her grandparents to a confident woman who took charge of her life and choices. Through her experiences, she forged her own identity and honored the legacy of those who came before her, ensuring that their stories would live on through her. Thank you for watching.